Could you provide a brief overview of what was a very comprehensive tour of the LNG market? Maybe highlight some of the key takeaways from your presentation.
I think the key takeaway is gas is here to stay for the short term. Without a doubt, we're moving forward to transitionary fuels. But with what's happened, particularly in Europe, we need the gas to replace pipeline gas. The world is changing rapidly, and we need to make some more investment decisions quickly to make sure we have sufficient gas around the world to meet the growing demand. The other thing is that shipping markets have become very buoyant, and there are insufficient yard slots to meet the rising demand for LNG carriers. So we're now in 2027 for Korea, and the Chinese are developing up until 2028. It's all very positive.
Now, you mentioned, of course, about the new building boom, and you said, I guess Christmas has come early. How long do you see this boom sustaining, and what are the key drivers going forward?
I think from a Korean yard perspective, it's been a long time in the making. The boom has come primarily from the very large orders, anything up to allegedly 150 ships for the Qatari, new projects for the northeast, for the North Field expansion. The problem is, of course, with anything, it's all about supply and demand. And going forward, if we are to replace LNG with more transitionary fuels, then that will stymie the boom continuing. However, up until 2030, I cannot see this boom being curtailed. We need the LNG as that transitionary fuel, and as a consequence, we need to have the ships to transport that product.
Now, with the tightening of capacity at shipyards and all the inflation globally, what do you see new building prices reaching next year?
It's a very good question. I have some clients who have basically put a dampener on the shipping market, and as a consequence, they feel that perhaps prices will come down. We just don't know. I mean, certainly they are at the highest they've been. I wouldn't say ever, because they were back at 265 million in the 1990s. But certainly, prices are not going down in the short term. The demand is still there for LNG carriers. Certainly, we may see a slight coming off. But it really depends on the other sectors. If the crude sector and the container sector bounce back, and they also want ships. I think you have to also realise that LNG carriers can take up to 3 years to build. So whilst we're ordering in 22, we're now having orders in 25, 26, and obviously Chinese markets 27 and 28. Other sectors are still on 2025 buildings.
Do you see any threat of overbuilding?
That's the worst thing you want to ask a ship owner. I at this stage, no. Bearing in mind there are so few uncommitted vessels still left around, and there is a lot of demand. No, I can't. In the short term, no, I can't see overbuilding. I think the owners have been very wary since the period 2013 through to 2017, when we did have the overbuilding, but that wasn't their fault. It was down to the project being totally delayed. This time the projects are getting delayed, but as soon as the projects tick the box, those charterers will be out there looking for ships. And at the moment, there are insufficient vessels to meet the demand going forward.
Now, do you think the demand for gas has given new life to the second-hand market then?
Yes and no. I mean, the second-hand market, you have to be very careful. I mean, I think Niels from Höegh said it all. It really depends on a price basis. Its conversion time takes a long time. There is no easy fix. It's all about infrastructure. I think I did a speech here many years ago about infrastructure. It is about the infrastructure. It's going to be able to get these ships into the right place. And not every ship that comes up on the market for sale is necessarily the one that is right for your project.
Great. Thank you, Debbie.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.